1462 is a year the world learned that the darkest nightmares do not dwell in the shadows of night, but walk in the blazing heat of the day under the banner of a prince. Imagine for a moment that you are a soldier in the greatest military machine the medieval world has ever known. You are a janissary, a member of the elite infantry of the Ottoman Empire, marching north under the golden standard of Sultan Mehmed II. You are part of a force so massive that the ground trembles beneath your feet, an army that shattered the impenetrable walls of Constantinople and brought the Roman Empire to its knees. You are confident, battle-hardened, and unstoppable. You are marching into a small, insignificant principality called Wallachia to crush a rebellious vassal who has dared to defy the might of the Padishah. It is supposed to be a simple campaign, a punitive expedition to remind the world that the Ottoman eagle does not tolerate insolence. But as you push deeper into this wild, untamed land, the confidence begins to drain from your veins. The summer sun beats down on your armor, turning it into an oven, but it is not the heat that sickens you. It is the silence. The villages are empty. The wells are poisoned. The crops are burned to ash. And then, as you near the capital city of Targovist, the wind shifts. It carries a scent that no soldier, no matter how veteran, can ever prepare for. It is the cloying, sweet, suffocating stench of massive, industrial-scale death. Your horses rear in panic, their instincts screaming at them to flee. Your commanders, men who have seen cities burn and populations enslaved, go pale. You round a final bend in the road, expecting to see a fortress or a line of battle. Instead, you see a forest. But this forest is not made of oak or pine. It is a forest of 23,000 stakes, stretching as far as the eye can see, a geometric nightmare arranged in concentric circles. And upon every stake is a human being. Men, women, children, captured Ottoman soldiers and Wallachian traitors, all suspended in a gruesome tableau of agony. The birds have nested in their hair. The insects swarm in clouds. Some have been dead for weeks, their bodies black and bloated. Others are still moving, twitching in the final throes of a death that has been denied to them for days. This is not war. This is something else entirely. This is the work of a mind that has transcended the boundaries of human cruelty to create a masterpiece of psychological terror. This is the welcome prepared for you by Vlad III, the voivode of Wallachia, the man history will remember as Dracula. And in that moment, staring at the horror that stretches to the horizon, you realize that you are not fighting a man. You are fighting a monster created by your own empire. To understand how a human being becomes capable of constructing a forest of corpses, we must peel back the layers of history and look into the eyes of a frightened child. The year is 1442, and the seed of this madness is planted not in Wallachia, but in the dust of Anatolia. Vlad is 11 years old. He stands trembling beside his younger brother, Radu, watching his father, Vlad II Dracula, ride away. His father, the ruler of Wallachia, has just made a devil's bargain with Sultan Mehmed II to keep his throne, to keep his head, and to balance the precarious politics between the Ottoman Empire and the Kingdom of Hungary. He has sold his own flesh and blood. He has handed over his two youngest sons as hostages, living collateral to ensure his good behavior. As the dust settles and his father disappears, Vlad realizes he is alone in the heart of the beast. For the next 6 years, he is a prisoner of the Ottomans. But do not imagine a dungeon with dripping walls and rats. It is something far more insidious. He is a guest. He is held in the fortress of Egregaz, and later in the exquisite courts of the empire. He is given the finest clothes, the best tutors, and training in the arts of war and logic. He learns Turkish, Arabic, and Persian. He studies the Quran and philosophy. But the real lesson is not in the books. The real lesson is in the courtyard. Young Vlad watches as the Ottomans rule their vast empire through a potent mixture of administrative brilliance and absolute, paralyzing terror. He watches public executions that are designed not just to punish the guilty, but to traumatize the innocent into submission. He sees how fear, when applied with surgical precision, is more effective than 1,000 swords. He learns that power is the only truth and that mercy is a luxury that a ruler cannot afford. But while he learns, he also suffers. His brother Radu, beautiful and pliant, adapts to this new world. Radu makes friends, charms the courtiers, and eventually becomes the intimate companion of the Sultan's son, the future Mehmed the Conqueror. Vlad does not. He is defiant, sullen, and filled with rage that burns hotter with every passing day. He refuses to submit, and for his defiance, he is punished. The Ottoman chronicles hint at the lash, at the psychological torment, at the night spent in isolation where the only company was his own festering hatred. In those dark years, the boy named Vlad dies, and something cold and hard is born in his place. He develops a persecution complex, so profound that he begins to see the entire world as a threat that must be neutralized. He memorizes the Ottoman tactics. He studies their mind. He learns exactly what frightens them. He is building an arsenal in his mind, forging weapons out of his own trauma. In 1448, the Ottomans decide that Vlad is finally ready to serve their purpose. They release him. They give him a small army and send him back to Wallachia to take his father's throne. He is 17 years old. He returns to find his homeland a graveyard. His father has been assassinated by the Boyars, the treacherous noble families of Wallachia who play kings like pawns. His older brother, Mircea, a warrior whom Vlad idolized, has been betrayed, blinded with red-hot pokers, and buried alive. The brutality of it stuns him. This is not the homecoming of Prince. It is walking into a viper's nest. He takes the throne, but he holds it for only a few months before being ousted by rival factions supported by Hungary. He is forced into exile again. For 8 long years, Vlad wanders a wilderness of European politics. He moves between the courts of Moldavia and Transylvania, a prince without a country, a man with a name but no land. He watches. He waits. He learns from the great Hungarian commander John Hunyadi, the very man who may have orchestrated his father's death. He swallows his pride because he has a singular, burning purpose: to return to rule and to punish. He studies the terrain of Wallachia until he knows every cave, every forest path, every mountain pass. He is preparing for a war that he knows is inevitable. The moment arrives in 1456. Constantinople has fallen 3 years prior, sending shockwaves through Christendom. The Ottomans are surging westward. Europe is in panic. In this chaos, Vlad sees his opening. With Hungarian backing, he invades Wallachia and seizes the throne for the second time. The Impaler has arrived, but he does not sit comfortably on his velvet chair. He knows that the men smiling at him in the court, the wealthy boyars bowing low and pledging their loyalty, are the same men who murdered his father and tortured his brother. They think he is another puppet, another short-lived prince they can manipulate and discard. They are wrong. Vlad's first order of business is not war with the Turks, but a cleansing of his own house. He decides to break the power of the nobility forever. The event that follows is etched into the folklore of Romania, the Feast of Easter, 1457. Vlad issues an invitation to the boyars and their families. "Come," he says, "let us celebrate the resurrection. Let us bury the hatchet and feast together in the great hall of Targovist." They come in their hundreds, dressed in their finest silks and furs, dripping with gold, arrogant and secure in their power. The wine flows, the music plays, and then the doors are bolted. Vlad stands before them, his face a mask of stone. He asks a simple question that cuts through the drunken laughter. "How many princes have you survived?" One by one they answer, 7, 12, 20. They boast of their longevity, unaware that they are confessing to treason. They are bragging that they are the true rulers, and the princes are merely temporary inconveniences. Vlad nods. He gives a signal. The guards flood the hall. The laughter turns to screams. The older boyars, the ones directly responsible for the betrayals of the past, are dragged out to the courtyard and impaled on the spot. But for the younger, stronger nobles and their wives, Vlad has a different fate in mind. He strips them of their finery, chains them together like common criminals, and marches them 50 miles north into the mountains. Their destination is the ruins of an ancient fortress on a cliff overlooking the Argesh River. This is Poenry. Vlad tells them that they will rebuild this castle with their own hands. For months, the soft hands of the nobility, hands that have never held anything heavier than a gob of wine, are forced to haul massive stones up the precipice. They work until their clothes rot off their bodies. They work until they drop dead from exhaustion. They work until the class structure of Wallachia is literally worked to death. Vlad rebuilds his fortress on the bones of his enemies, and in doing so, he sends a message to every person in the land. The old ways are gone. There's only one law now, my law, with the nobility crushed and replaced by a meritocracy of loyal soldiers who owe everything to him. Vlad turns his gaze outward. He knows the Ottomans are watching. He knows that Mehmed II, his old childhood companion, is now the most powerful man on earth. In 1459, the envoys arrive. They come to collect the jizya, the annual tribute of gold and young boys that Wallachia is forced to pay to the Sultan. It is a symbol of submission, a reminder that they are a vassal state. The envoys enter Vlad's throne room. They are arrogant. They refuse to remove their turbans, citing religious law. Vlad looks at them with that intense, predatory stare. He speaks softly. "I commend you on your piety," he says. "A man should always stay true to his customs. Let me help you keep them forever." He snaps his fingers. His guard sees the envoys. And right there, in front of the horrified court, Vlad orders nails to be driven to the turbans and into the skulls of the messengers. He does not kill them instantly. He ensures they survive the procedure, so they can ride back to Constantinople, blood streaming down their faces, iron spikes protruding from their heads, to deliver his answer to the Sultan. It is an act of insanity. It is an act of suicide. But it is also a calculated declaration of independence. Vlad is telling the conqueror of the world that he is not afraid. War is now inevitable. But Vlad knows he cannot win a conventional war. He has a small army of peasants and mercenaries. Mehmed has the janissaries, the sipahis, the cannons, and the inexhaustible resources of 3 continents. So Vlad decides to fight a different kind of war. He decides to fight a war on the landscape of the human mind. He begins to practice the art of impalement on a massive scale. We must pause here to understand what this really means. Impalement was not a quick execution. It was a medical procedure designed to maximize suffering. Vlad studied anatomy. He knew exactly where the vital organs were. The stake was not sharp. It was rounded and oiled. It entered the body through the rectum and was guided carefully along the spine, missing the heart, the lungs, the liver. The victim was then hoisted upright. Gravity did the rest. The body would slowly slide down the stake, with displacing organs but not destroying them. A man could survive for days in this state. He could speak. He could scream. He could watch the birds land on his eyes. Vlad used this not just to kill, but to create a landscape of terror. He arranged his victims in patterns. He created hierarchies of height. The higher the rank, the higher the stake. He impaled mothers with their infants. He impaled entire villages. He wanted the Ottomans to hear the stories. He wanted the rumors to fly across the Danube like black crows, whispering that the Prince of Wallachia was not a man, but a demon who drank pain. In the spring of 1462, the hammer falls. Sultan Mehmed II gathers an army of perhaps 90,000 men. It is an invasion force large enough to conquer a continent. They cross the Danube, expecting a quick victory. But as they step onto Wallachian soil, they find nothing. Vlad has evacuated the population. He has burned the fields. He has poisoned the wells. He has killed the livestock. The Ottoman army is marching into a dead zone. The heat is unbearable. Thirst begins to set in. Hunger gnaws at their bellies. And then the night raids begin. Vlad does not fight in the open. He fights in the shadows. His light cavalry strikes the Ottoman supply lines and vanishes before the heavy Turkish troops can react. He sends men infected with bubonic plague and other diseases to mingle with the Ottoman camp followers, a primitive form of biological warfare. He creates an atmosphere of constant, grinding paranoia. The Ottoman soldiers cannot sleep. They cannot eat. They see an enemy behind every tree. But the crescendo of this symphony of horror comes on the night of June 17th, 1462. The night attack. Vlad learns from captured spies exactly where the Sultan's tent is located in the massive Ottoman encampment near Targovist. He gathers his best men, knights, mercenaries, fanatics who are willing to die. Under the cover of pitch blackness, they ride into the Ottoman camp. They are dressed in Ottoman uniforms. They speak Turkish. They carry torches. And suddenly, all hell breaks loose. They set fire to the tents. They slash the hamstrings of the horses. They scream Ottoman war cries to confuse the enemy. The Ottoman soldiers, waking in terror, begin fighting each other in the smoke and confusion. Vlad leads a wedge of cavalry straight toward the Sultan's pavilion. He cuts through the bodyguards, his sword red with blood, his eyes fixed on the prize. He wants to kill the head of the snake. He comes terrifyingly close. Historians say he was within a few hundred yards of the Sultan himself before the elite Janissaries rallied and formed a wall of steel around their leader. Vlad fights like a man possessed, but he cannot break the final line. As dawn threatens to break, he orders a retreat. He vanishes back into the forest as quickly as he appeared, leaving thousands of dead Ottomans behind and a sultan who is shaken to his very core. Mehmed the Conqueror, the man who laughed at the walls of Constantinople, has nearly been assassinated in the middle of his own army. The Ottoman army, battered, sleepless, and demoralized, resumes its march toward Targovist. They believe that if they can just take the capital, the war will be over. They believe that they have seen the worst. They are wrong. As they approach the city, the smell hits them again, and then they see it, the forest of the Impaled. 20,000 rotting corpses on stakes. The sight is so overwhelming, so alien to the human conscience, that the entire army halts. These are men who have lived by the sword, who have seen the worst of war. But this breaks them. It is said that the Sultan himself rode his horse through the rows of the dead, silent, his face pale. He saw the body of Hamza Pasha, one of his own generals who had been sent to capture Vlad months earlier, impaled on the highest stake, still wearing his rotting silk robes. Mehmed realizes that he cannot win this war. He can burn the cities, he can kill the people, but he cannot defeat a man who has already surrendered his humanity to achieve victory. I cannot take the land away from a man who does such marvels with his own people, Mehmed reportedly says. It is a strange, twisted compliment, an admission that Vlad's psychological warfare has worked. The Sultan orders a retreat. The mightiest army on earth turns its back and marches home, defeated not by superior numbers, not by better tactics, but by the sheer, unadulterated horror of one man's mind. Vlad has won. He has saved his country. But this is a tragedy, not a fairy tale. The victory is hollow. The terror that Vlad unleashed does not dissipate. It consumes him. The boyars who survived, the merchants he terrorized, the neighbors he threatened, they all turn against him. His own brother, Rad the Handsome, returns with a fresh Ottoman army, promising peace and sanity. The people of Wallachia, exhausted by the constant war and the constant fear of the stake, begin to defect to Radu. Vlad is forced to flee to Hungary, seeking aid from King Matthias Corvinus. But Corvinus has no interest in helping the volatile Impaler. He sees Vlad as a liability. He forges letters, fake documents that claim Vlad is plotting to betray Hungary to the Turks. It is a lie, but it is enough. Vlad is arrested by a supposed ally and thrown into prison. For 12 years, the Dragon of Wallachia sits in a tower near Budapest. The world moves on without him. The Ottomans consolidate their power. His brother rules Wallachia. Vlad, once the scourge of empires, is reduced to a prisoner. Stories from this time claim that he would catch mice and birds and impale them on tiny splinters of wood in his cell, a pathetic echo of the forest he once planted. It is a behavior of a man whose mind has been fundamentally broken, who knows only one way to interact with the world. But history has a strange sense of humor. In 1476, the political winds shift again. A new threat rises, and the Christian powers suddenly need their monster back. Vlad is released. He is reinstated as the Prince of Wallachia. He is older now, his hair gray, his face lined with the years of captivity. He returns to his homeland, but the magic is gone. The fear he once commanded has turned to hatred. He rules for barely 2 months. In the winter of 1476, marching to battle against the Turks near Bucharest, he meets his end. The details are murky. Some say he died a hero's death, sword in hand, charging the enemy lines. Others say his own men, tired of the bloodshed, stabbed him in the back in confusion of the melee. A persistent legend says that he was mistaken for a Turk by his own soldiers because of his Ottoman armor and cut down. Whatever the truth, the outcome is the same. The dragon falls. His head is severed. It is packed in honey to preserve it and sent to Constantinople. The Sultan, the son of the man Vlad once fought, displays it on a stake in the city. The final irony, the Impaler impaled. His body is reportedly buried at the Snagov Monastery on a lonely island in a lake. But when archaeologists opened the tomb in the 1930s, they found it empty. Only the bones of a horse and some ancient pottery remained. It is a fitting end for a man who became a myth. Even in death, he refuses to be pinned down. So, what are we to make of this story? How do we reconcile the national hero who saved his country with the sadist who dined among rotting corpses? The truth is uncomfortable. We like our history to be black and white, heroes and villains. But Vlad Dracula was both. He was a monster. Yes, the things he did were defenseless, cruel, and inhuman. But he was a monster created by his time. He was a product of a world where weakness meant death, where the only language empires understood was violence. He looked at the map of Europe, saw his tiny country squeezed between two giants, and decided that the only way to survive was to become more terrifying than the empires that sought to crush him. He weaponized fear. He turned trauma into strategy. And for a brief, bloody moment, it worked. The forest of the Impaled stands as a dark monument to the limits of human morality. It asks us a question that echoes through the centuries. How far would you go to protect your home? Would you become a monster to save your people? And if you do, is there anything left of you worth saving? The story of Vlad the Impaler is not just a horror story. It is a warning. It reminds us that the line between civilization and savagery is thinner than we think, and that sometimes the things we do to survive are more terrifying than the death we fear. 1462 is long gone, but the shadow of the Impaler still stretches across history, a dark, cold reminder of the potential for darkness that lies within the human heart.